I think it's easy to think of coffee in the sense of commodity. Like it's equivalent to like lumber or lunch meat or water. I don't know. When you get in that mindset, it's just easy to imagine coffee as a right and not a privilege. Like it's something we all deserve and not something we need to work for. I heard once someone said like I don't drink coffee to wake up. I wake up to drink coffee. And it's this I mean this idea of like no, I want coffee. I'm not just in it for the energy or just as like a morning routine. It's like no, this is uh, a joy to me to enjoy this craft and this quality. There's this distinct line between like what I remember growing up with, which was just like going to IHOP and seeing my grandpa order just a cup of black coffee, and then it'd be like, "You want a drink?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and then you just like take a drink, and it's like disgusting. Um, and specialty coffee is just completely different. There's like actually a science to it, where people have decided to invest in the quality from the farm. The growing process, all of the processing, all of the actual sourcing of the coffee to the cup. There's an intense quality. There is a really intricate flavor profiling system for coffee, just like there is for wine. Like you've seen wine like tasting charts and like it's got all the different like notes. You've got like wine defects. You've got like good things to look for in wine, and you have the same sort of profiling chart for coffee. Coffee is just as, if not more complex than even wine in again, the growing and the farming. People are paying their farmers well to like actually look through and sort through the beans. There's like this intentionality between the way they're like fermented and like all the flavors are like soaked up inside of the beans. And when the roasters actually get a hold of it, they're like going into it and they're like test roasting and like trying all these different flavors. And there really is like a distinct difference too between something that's dark roasted and something that's light roasted. Something that's dark roasted, you're burning out all the flavors of the bean. There are some specialty kind of roasters that like do kind of push a little darker, but for the most part, you're trying to preserve the flavor that's actually in the bean and not just like char it. And so specialty coffee, you're seeing a lot more light roasts, which is just intentionality on part of the roaster. Like they're saying, no, this bean is good enough to not sear it to death, and to actually leave some of the flavor that's in it. I think you ask people who are into specialty coffee, like what makes a cup of coffee worth it, they're gonna answer like the quality of the cup that you're getting, the intentionality behind the processing and the sourcing and like all the things that go into coffee. But they're also gonna talk probably a lot about the community that's involved. Part of the draw is the experience. There really is this like draw of aesthetic and this kind of like type of environment that people, it's just great to hang out in, to do schoolwork in, to just go have a conversation with a friend in. And so, yeah, there really is this like experience and this expectation of community that's involved with coffee. I think the way you get people to learn about coffee is you get them around coffee. And I think this has really been the strategy that specialty coffee has used to kind of lure people in, is presenting more than just a really good cup of coffee. It's like it's presenting an experience. And so even people who know nothing about coffee, like you go to a Starbucks and it's got the same feeling every single Starbucks you go to. But you go to a different coffee shop and there's all sorts of weird different coffee shops and just wonderful aesthetics inside of coffee shops, from the aesthetic of the shop to the aesthetic of like the espresso and the way it's served. There's just a lot more to coffee than even just the cup. And so it's like that's kind of how you draw people in and get them to learn and to appreciate the art that's going into it. People really have a way to learn to get into coffee now, and to go explore different local coffee shops. Don't get stuck at one. I mean, it is always fun to be just like known at one coffee shop, but you could always like, I don't know, have your weekend going around to different coffee shops and trying different things. And exploring the coffee shops in your area. I was introduced to coffee kind of in like the same way. Like I was just going to coffee shops, and there was one specific coffee shop that I went to every morning called the Love Mug. And like I literally walked in there one day and I said, "Hey, what's a latte? Can you explain that to me?" And the barista explained what a latte was to me, and he explained what a cappuccino was to me. Like that was the experience. Like I went in and I said, "What is this thing?" And they were there and ready and able and excited to like teach me and to bring me into this world. I think that there's this stigma, and there is with all arts, all art forms. There's this like the idea that no, you have to be talented or a certain type of person to actually like learn or develop a certain type of skill. And like people think that about like palates and like tasting too. They think like, no, certain people just have like great, incredible palates and can just taste everything and just know what things taste like and know what's good and what's not good. And it's just not true. You're not just born with a great palate. Like it's taught and it's learned and it's practiced. The way to get better at tasting coffee is to taste coffee, and to taste a ton of coffee and to drink it a lot. But not only to just drink it a lot, but to be thinking about it while you're drinking it, to be learning and having conversations about it. It really just takes time, and it takes some intentionality too. But it also doesn't have to be this extreme process. It can just be over time and just be enjoying going to coffee shops and like having conversations about coffee and just trying new coffees. But I think it's an exciting thing that people can learn how to appreciate and really cultivate their experience with this new art. When you realize like the consistency and the kind of flow that goes into learning how to appreciate coffee well and to like taste coffee well, you can apply that same sort of thing to every other type of skill, and just like how you practice the piano every day, how you practice film every day, and not in this stressful, I have to get it done way, but in this enjoying way of like, no, I get to get better at this every day, every time that I do it, with this intentionality of learning. When you recognize coffee as art, that's when it becomes it's just something that's so fun to be a part of an art community. Can't believe I did this whole thing and I didn't even grab a cup of coffee. This is really good.